I'm going to establish that we have a quorum, the CRC. As a preliminary matter, this is Dorothy Hertz, Chair of the CRC. Please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Sue?
Sue Benton here.
Veronica?
Here, Veronica.
John?
John Balash here.
Okay, and we're waiting on Linda, right? Okay. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative.
Tamika Gary here.
Jared?
In attendance?
Did I understand that Heather might be on?
She is on remotely.
And Heather?
Heather Nardoni here.
Anticipated speakers on the agenda, please respond in the affirmative.
Oh,
We do not have any. What?
Thank you. But Joanna is now being admitted.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Joanna?
So.
Just move everything. No, we want it up.
Sorry, I'm in here. I was thinking of bringing like my eye mask when I sleep for this thing.
Joanna, is she in?
Joanna, can you hear us? She should be in there. Where the participants tab.
I'm just gonna go ahead until we actually see her, okay?
Yeah.
And then I'll just ask her to acknowledge herself. Good morning. This is an open meeting of the CRC being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will not feature public comment. And the meeting of the CRC is conveyed by, it's a hybrid video conference and in person, as posted on the town's website and an event and how the public may join. Please note that the meeting is being recorded and that all attendees are that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We are now turning the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold on to your name. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone and computer when you are not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in conversation with other members, please do so through the chair. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Just a reminder, everybody, too, that anything you do on your cell phone can be used for public, taken for public meeting. We're just going to ask that Joanna, will you just state your name, please?
Joanna Roach.
Thank you for joining us. And am I correct? Linda is not in yet?
Not yet.
Okay, can I get an approval of the agenda?
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, Sue,
Aye.
Veronica,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
and Joanna,
Aye.
Dorothy, aye. Approval of minutes. I believe they were sent remotely, and I'm sorry, but I got in late last night. So.
Yeah, they did get sent all of, it was from the 6th, the 10th, the 16th, the 24th did not get sent to you all. I'm still working on that one.
Okay.
That was just.
Okay, I did have a chance to read them, so I can make a motion to approve them.
I did not read them.
Second.
Joanna, did you get a chance to read them?
No.
Okay, so then I'm gonna table this if
Okay.
more than two of us have not had the
Yep.
chance to read it, okay? And we're gonna start the deliberations. I'm gonna ask, if you guys could give me a short synopsis of how things went on the interviews on Tuesday.
Okay, can I start?
Yes,
All right. Not just Tuesday, but both days, I found the interviews to be completely enlightening. Seeing it on paper and then hearing and asking more questions really did tell me that even though I am not going to recommend funding every single one of these programs, each one is valid, because what came across loud and clear is our need is so great. Flipping now to our meeting on Tuesday, where we had, we started with NAMI. NAMI had a host of characters because they have a number of people that they're collaborating with. And please help me with some of these names. I know that Holly was here from ASAP. Chris.
Families Against Social Media Abuse.
Addiction, and the woman who was sitting here,
Is she from?
That was Chris,
okay, then who was up on the screen?
that was Kim Mead Walters
Kim.
from Sharing Kindness.
Sharing Kindness. Sharing Kindness, and Chris and Holly, and
And
of
Jackie.
course, yes. You know, it's a great thing they're talking about doing. One of the things, and there's a need. One of the things that took me back a bit is, I think we asked everyone, if we can't fully fund, can they move forward with a portion and the answer we got was basically no. And
From this
please,
one, from the NAMI one?
yes, from NAMI.
Okay.
And correct me if I misinterpreted that, but I thought it was a pretty clear no, and they explained how losing funding that they had anticipated from another funding source, you know, whatever, and that's gone, so they have to make up. And this is something they're doing over on the Cape, and you know, the goal is to offer Nantucket everything that they're doing on the Cape, and this is what would fill that in. But without the funding, it wasn't, we can do some of this, so we can do, or without the full funding, we can do some. So that was loud and clear. The other thing, Chris, from the social media, new organization, she said, you know, would you be able to fund some? Because I think there's components there that are fabulous. And she said, I hope you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know, and that really hit me, because she's new. I think she's got something good going. But she's part of this bigger grant, and I don't know if we can carve out and fund her. So anyone else have?
Did you feel that it was, like, just out of curiosity, did you feel it was something that if we went through the deliberation process, we might turn to NAMI and say, this might be better for you to put into our the blanket human service contract?
Yes, because I think what they're talking about, and it also is not just the plan that, and the grant was very well written, but I also know this is an organization that is used to writing grants, and they have grant support. So it was a very well written grant, I thought. It was a 2 to 5 year plan, or it was more than a multi-year plan. And like I said, I think it's solid. But yes, it could slide into other, but you know, I'm looking, we already have either $500,000 or $600,000 asked for here. And I know that when we go out with the other grants, there's going to be more than the need, more money, more need than the money we have.
Do you feel that, though, that with the idea that we might be looking at not necessarily funding the same type of programs each time, that funding something like this, which would bring in that collaboration into that human service grant, could be be a beneficial place for that grant to go?
Yes, because they're talking about true collaboration, I think, in this, and that was a plus when I did my rubric, it's very interesting. And this is what I was pondering over my breakfast, because when I did the rubric, they matched someone else in scoring the most on the rubric. And that tells me
Veronica, who are you talking about?
NAMI.
Which one? NAMI, interesting.
Yeah.
There is one additional complication on that Jackie Lane did indicate that she is having a funding shortfall for the independent therapist program due to how Dragonfly shook out. So there is a chance that she will have, I think she mentioned something about $150,000 shortfall.
I thought they made more money this year than they've ever made.
Next year, Dragonfly will only be benefiting Fairwinds.
So where
Kate Kling announced that choice.
Okay, but I'm just asking that, did she split it this year?
Yeah, it's been split the past couple years. It was originally all for NAMI, and now the pendulum has swung the other way.
So clarify, is that for the current grant cycle we're in?
Yes,
Yeah.
they would have gotten the money for this year.
But
They just got people just got the checks about a week ago.
from what Jackie Lane said, she is expecting a shortfall in funding this year, affecting the grant cycle for this, what would be the CRC grants coming up.
Right.
Okay.
So that could be also why she was a hard no, that she wouldn't be able to do this, because she's faced with having to make up a loss in funding.
Okay, I'm just interested, just questioning whether that one,
Yeah.
does anybody else have any other comments? I'm gonna ask on the
Yes.
NAMI one,
Yeah.
before you go on to
Yeah.
tell me about the
Yeah.
others.
I would just say that I think what I understood from Jackie was that if they didn't get the funding, that this wouldn't launch now, but that it was, I didn't get that they were gonna never do it. It was just, it was not gonna happen as soon as this year.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right?
Joanna,
Yeah.
I'm a little confused by what you're saying, because I similarly walked away with some strong feelings about this and thought about the best way to share this with you all this morning. I actually, in this 175, I actually don't want to fund Fairwinds or NAMI at all, because I feel like those requests belong in the regular bucket and not in this bucket. And I felt that the others really were what we intended them to be, which is new programs that had some collaboration, that served the youth in a way that we weren't doing. What I perceived from both Fairwinds and NAMI.
I'm gonna
And
hold
this
on
is-
for a minute. Joanna, hold on. I'm just gonna acknowledge that I believe that Linda Williams has been added to us, and I have to acknowledge that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I mean, while I'm completely supportive of those two organizations, I feel like funding them in any way out of this grant takes away from our intention of fostering new things and creating new opportunities for children and youth. And I'm not sure. I think that it's probably a much larger conversation about NAMI and Fairwinds and how they use their money and how those programs impact what it is we're doing, but I don't think they belong in this grant.
Okay, I'm gonna,
Okay.
and Linda, did you have any viewpoint? My question was, I don't know if you heard it. I was just asking for a brief summary of the interviews I missed, and we were just discussing the NAMI presentation. Do you have any feelings about that, that you'd like to interject here?
I sort of agree with Joanna. I think the two presentations were very well done, particularly the NAMI one. That was got an awful lot of information there.
Yep.
I tend to agree. My thought was to go down the list, like I do at other places with grants, and say who's in, who's out, and then figure out where to go with the funding from there. But I do agree that Fairwinds and NAMI are asking for the biggest piece of the pie. Another one of these didn't really have a direction as much as I obsess over the Boys and Girls Club. So I've got some ideas about the other ones as well, but I tend to agree with Joanna about those particular ones. Not that we don't support them. It's just that I think that maybe this isn't where they need to be.
Okay, I'm gonna just ask, I'm gonna go very quickly, the Dreamland, just so we
Okay,
know.
yeah.
How did you feel about Dreamland?
Want someone else to go first? Do you
No,
want
you
me?
go first, and then we'll just go
Okay.
around the table.
I was blown away by Dreamland. I wasn't expecting, reading the grant, I said, you know, it sounds like a great thing to put on a production for the early childhood population, and, you know, but it's gonna be the same old kids that are served doing this, but there's other components to this, and you know, I think I have to remind myself of the names. Laura,
Mhm.
you know, has a foot in the school, which, you know, I looked at that as a really big positive, because not many of our other folks have been able to do that. And because of the dual roles that she plays, she does have access and a foothold in the school. She did say they would be trying to pull in other kids, but the performance probably would have kids that are in the theater program already, but they would be trying to pull in others. But then there's a component of this that they're talking about, and I'm not going to use the proper terms, I'm just giving you my emotional reaction here, was similar to what they do when they do their story time, you know, working with kids in a help me on some words here, please.
Hands-on?
Not hands-on, but exploring autobiographical of their experience in their life, and being able to share this in a supported environment. I just looked at that, and that won me over. I almost left here with tears in my eyes, because I see that's a positive thing, and that would be working with kids, introducing them to theater, but the transformative part of this, I left here completely thinking differently about the Dreamland than I did just reading their
presentation.
Yes.
On the paper.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I would add that they have Spanish speaking access baked in,
Yes.
which I thought was the only presentation that
Her name's
has that.
Sassy.
Sassy Nash is there.
the Boys and Girls Club, I think their staff is. bilingual.
They do have that.
Okay, just
but
wanted to clarify.
Yes,
I think
sorry,
their staff is
that's
bilingual.
correct. They do have bilingual staff. But yeah, that was a huge important thing for me, so I appreciated that. I agree. I think when they applied, they have still been working on the program, like they're developing it since they handed in the paper. So it was really great to hear them and where they're at, because I don't think that monologue, tell your own story thing was in the writing, but they were able to talk about that, and that was compelling.
And where was their feeling about funding because they have a pretty good endowment? What was their?
They will go ahead. They will go ahead.
They will go ahead with the program anyway.
Right, because I looked that, you know, folks have full-time jobs, and how you're gonna be doing this, you know, in the after hours, but Sassy would be a good portion of this, and this is part of their mission. They, you know, it's a cultural center, and the education component, this falls within their mission, and they're planning on doing, if they don't get the full funding, they would have to cut components, speakers, and maybe fees they would have to pay for licensing and stuff like that. But they with lesser money, they will go ahead.
Okay, good to know. Joanna, your feeling about it?
I thought it was I thought it was fantastic. I think this is exactly what we're trying to do, which is to foster new programs for kids that we don't access, that includes a multicultural element. I thought it met our criteria almost exactly.
Okay, Linda,
We talking about the ones we liked, or just the ones we heard from Tuesday, or the ones we think should be funded, or what are we doing?
Dreamland right now.
Dreamland right now. I want to hear about what happened on Tuesday and then we'll go in because I missed it and I want to hear what the component feeling was of it.
All right, I agree with everybody on the Dreamland one. My three of my four grandchildren have participated in the theater program at the Dreamland. And it's been incredibly beneficial for them just to be involved with all of the productions. And I watched all the parents, I've watched the kids. And as I mentioned on Tuesday, every one of these productions and these theater groups that they do are sold out or packed. So I was very impressed by their presentation on Tuesday. And I also know that how beneficial Stand Up and Learn, the comedy one I'm involved with, has been for those kids that don't have a lot of confidence and don't know how to present themselves in front of other people and, you know, express their feelings through their comedy. So I know these programs work really well. So I was impressed by them on Tuesday.
Okay, awesome. John, any comment?
Well, I just wanted to add in, I'd have, just coincidentally, I'd happened to be at a lunch with the current executive director of the Dreamland while we weren't addressing the issues that we're talking about. Just in her general description of her vision of where the Dreamland should go is totally consistent with what we heard at the program. But this is part of their overall vision. This would just further give them added ability to do something that she is totally committed to as the executive director. And I know something about Linda, I can't remember, Linda somebody Byrne, and she is one dynamo person. I have run across her in other contexts over the years.
Yeah, she's pretty
Nothing
devoted.
more.
Yeah, she is. Okay, thank you, John. So next one, could you tell me about ASAPs? That was with Mass, right?
Right. Is this where I
This is
would,
the disc golf.
Disc golf and then the.
right, but full disclosure here,
Right.
my partner, my husband was part of writing that grant,
Okay, so you have to recuse yourself.
and I'm gonna recuse myself from that.
Okay, Sue,
So Elise Norton came, she's the new program director, and she talked about having the disc golf. I think they said 15 kids could participate per session, and they were hoping to have 3 sessions. So that's 45 kids possibly reached through the disc golf portion. And that's, I forget how many meetings are in a session, but they get to keep the discs and, you know, outdoor activity. So just a good, healthy place, and that they were going to train the disc golf folks on resources so that if during conversations during the, however you play rounds of golf, they could
isn't
have.
that usually played by yourself out there? Would they have
You
somebody
go in,
watching?
yeah, you go in groups, you know, it's almost like golf, you go in a foursome or something, so
Yeah,
they would.
yeah, but it's usually just like you go out there.
Yeah,
You know,
I think
groups
this
of
would
people
be,
go out there. It's not, there's usually not somebody manning.
I think they're going to have,
People there.
yeah, volunteers or from the disc golf league. Like I know, Mike Harder's like the head of the disc golf association, whatever, but there would be people from that teaching the kids techniques and whatever, so they would be leading the kids through the course, was my impression. And then there would be like a tournament at the end and they'd get prizes and families could come and watch. So that was one part of the program. And then a completely separate section would be doing the workshops at Mast, where they would have, there's and this part I don't think I'm clear on, but maybe somebody else is, where you could do meditation and somatic movement, and I think those are all three, like, there would be different classes that kids could take it. So you could have 15 kids at one and a different 15 kids at another, or one kid might want to do all of them.
This
Um,
is where Andrew's classes are, and this is how these kids would access his classes.
Right. So, yeah, different kinds of mindfulness classes. And then part of that, there's a mental health clinician on staff at Mast. That person would be running a recovery support group for teens as part of the program. So that could be, and they weren't sure, it could be more than the 15 kids that are capped in the other groups. So lots of variety, which I thought was interesting. You could have outdoorsy kids, and you could have all kinds of kids. And that she's got a program running in the schools right now where the kids are referred by teachers. So it's kind of mandatory-ish. And she was hoping that some of those kids would want to do something outside of school where they might feel a little more freer to talk and express themselves rather than in a school setting. So she has a bit of a feeder into the program, which is great.
Okay, Joanna?
I thought this was a good presentation. Again, I thought it was the things that we talked about when we were coming up with what we wanted to accomplish with this grant, right? It was creating alternative experiences for kids or youth where they were able to engage in ways that were outside of what we were currently offering. And I love the collaboration with Mast. I think that it's a place that if we could get kids to go there, they could use. I like that it addressed sort of mind, body, spirit, right? Which is the activity with the disc golf. And then the more mindful activities with the meditation classes and, some access to exploring spirituality and then the counseling. I just thought it was great.
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask you a question. Do you work at Mast?
I do, but I am not part of this program.
Okay,
Right. Purposely, I did not volunteer.
Okay, I just wanted to make that, I didn't want that to come out later that Joanna
Nope,
was.
that's totally fine.
Linda, do you have any comments on that? Did we lose him?
No,
No? Okay.
no comment.
Okay, John, did you have any comments on that one?
I don't think I do.
Okay, Boys and Girls Club.
Just on the point of order or point of information for Mast, there was 4 6-week sessions of 6 to 8 for the therapeutic support group, 20 students for the Mast mindfulness, and that's over 3 different activities. And then 15 by 3 students potentially with repeats for disc golf.
15 what?
So 15, it's 3 sessions of 15 each. There may be repeats in there, but the maximum total for the disc golf would be 45. 45
Total
students.
is 45 students,
Yeah,
period.
assuming no repeats for multiple sessions.
I'm just out of curiosity, I'm gonna ask this question. Usually the numbers of people heading to yoga in teenage years is not. It's not high,
It's not strong,
it's
but
not strong. I just don't know what the history that Mask has within that realm of that age group, if they're, besides people that are being pulled in there through the school, what kind of numbers are they getting with kids in the general public into their facility? Do you happen to know that, Joanna?
Well, I wouldn't say that any of what they proposed to offer was yoga, right? And I think yoga is the least of what they're offering in the community. It is much more facilitated, either meditation or movement or other types of healing. And they have had some things for kids, I think, that have been well attended, but those were in the summer. And I think this is just what they're attempting to do is to engage in this community. And I think that if Andrew's part of this, he'll be able to refer people to his own classes and to the other classes.
Okay.
May I? Sorry.
Yes.
Elise also said that she is fairly confident that she can get into the health classes to do some promotion and plugging there.
Cool.
Can I just make a general statement because
Mhm.
I'm reminded with this, but one of the things we've been discussing is removing barriers. And a barrier for participating in a lot of these programs could be financial, et cetera, et cetera. So all of this would be offered at no fee. So getting kids in, maybe they.
Hello? Just a minute.
Maybe they don't have the funds,
I got
but
you, John.
without that barrier, maybe there'll be more access
Okay.
for this and others.
Boys and Girls Club.
You?
Me?
Go ahead.
Okay,
We're gonna
sure,
let you start.
sure. I really wanted to say, wow, this is it. The presentation on Tuesday was, the least exciting of every presentation we've had. And part of what I walked away with was, there's 3 new programs that are great. But everything else is stuff they're already doing there for the population that they're serving. So the 3 unique programs also were for the high school age group, and I took that as a positive. So that's the positive that I saw here, because same thing with, and I'll go back to Dreamland. If it was just that they're gonna be serving the kids that they would be there anyway, I would say, but they do have 3 programs that are new, unique. I didn't get the feeling, did anyone remember if they would be running those programs with this funding?
There,
Or without the
Without
funding?
Without
it.
The funding, yeah.
Without it, they're gonna run it regardless. This will help, but they're gonna implement it without. it.
Okay,
yeah, that I
okay.
firmly
I think,
feel that.
I think out of all and this is just my personal feeling. They have been the most adaptive in our community to our school and actually probably have the best working relationship
Right.
with the school at this moment in time. So I'm just gonna put that out and.
Yeah, and they're, like, they're doing great stuff. I don't want to negate, they're doing fabulous thing, and it's one of the, they reached 1,200 kids
Mhm,
that are
that's huge.
part of what they do, which is huge. But like I said, reading it and I wanted to love it, and I left saying, yes, this is good, but it's not the panacea that we were looking for. So,
Okay.
You're talking about the mask thing, Veronica.
No, we're
she's
talking about Boys and Girls.
Club.
Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, Boys and Girls.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. I mean, I recognized a lot of the programs in the application from when I was working closely with the Boys and Girls Club, so I was like, is it a twist on it and so it looks like they're looking kind of for general support of their programs. And she said that she picked out 10 that fit into what our grant was asking for to highlight. And that they just, need more budget to make them better, to buy materials for it. I mean, that was.
Well, but some of them, I mean, I read it, the mentoring program is not anything they're doing presently within the community.
It sounds like that's what their plan is this year, these are the programs that they're doing. So it's new this year, but it's.
Yeah, I think it's new
happening.
after they did this data research.
Right,
And came up
right.
with the thing. So they're doing an actual mentoring program where people can go out and work with people within the community in a mentoring, and they're matching them as far as social economic needs, the whole 10 yards.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make clear, it's not necessarily their whole, this is a very brand new thing that's came from a lot of data that they.
Yes, some of the programs are new this year. And in that they started this school year already and that they're happening, which is amazing.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
definitely nothing negative to say about programs that are happening for the kids. Like, that's great.
Joanna?
Yeah, I agree. The Boys and Girls Club was the most underwhelming of all of the stuff that we talked about, aside from the two that I don't think fit in. I do think that giving them some money to promote, like, or to engage further in these programs is not a bad idea. I wish that, honestly, I wish that Jamie had come and talked to us directly
Yeah.
with
Probably
Jasmine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good at letting you really know. I think the key that's really important with what they have there is their staff is so multicultural
Mhm.
Yep.
and so unbelievable. Like, it's one of the places where kids feel that they can talk to the people that are working there. And I think that
Yes.
is really crucial, because I think when Jericho, when you were growing up, it wasn't that way, the Boys and Girls Club, and it has really evolved. It's also the only place, and I'm just gonna plug this in, I think it's really important to remember, the only place in the community, when the AC went out in the school, opened up right away. If anything goes wrong, and the only place open during COVID for all the children in this community.
Right.
And it's really been a
Yeah.
vital tool within the community. And I want to say that right publicly as we're on here. Linda, do you have any opinion? And then Jericho. Linda, any opinion?
No, no opinion.
Okay, Jericho?
So from their estimations, the Boys and Girls Club programming that was underneath this would impact around 300 students. I believe that was one of the things that they mentioned. Spanish language support is so well integrated that they did not feel the need to separate it out from what they're doing.
That's
That's
key.
I think it's really, really important.
That
I think
is,
it's
yeah,
really
that is
key
key.
into the fact that they also, they're not only Spanish, they have Portuguese speaking too.
Yeah, no, and they
And I
covered the
think that's
gamut.
really, really important. in
We
this.
also know that the Boys and Girls Club services are directly integrated with communities that we don't normally see and hear. It's built into how they operate. And then finally, if I'm remembering, if my notes are correct on this, of the money that the Boys and Girls Club has, the overwhelming majority, something like 90%, goes to upkeep and staffing costs. The actual programming costs are something like 2% of their total budget. So us funding programming there may be a way for them to expand into new niches when they can free up some existing money under their regular finances.
Good point, Jericho.
But what actually, one of the things that I was gonna say about the Boys and Girls Club is that they are excellent fundraisers. So their ability to get money far exceeds maybe almost anybody else on this list, right? Maybe aside from the Dreamland. They raise a lot of money at the Groove every year. They are effective at fundraising. So I think, that's something for us to consider. And I would reiterate, everything that, Dorothy said. In terms of my own children and their experience here, it was excellent. And it was the only place where they went where they were fully integrated into the multicultural community, right? Where there was no barriers to entry and no one, and everyone was treated fairly. And that was a really important experience for them to have here.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's very, very important. And I think it should be acknowledged, because some of the others, it just doesn't happen. It really
Right.
doesn't happen. As much as some of the programs and, endowments, we know that the Dreamland has a major endowment and the Boys and Girls Club do to maintain what they're providing. But it isn't, I would say, the Dreamland isn't as multicultural as the Boys and Girls Club is at this present time. It maybe has the ability to be so, but the Boys and Girls Club's far outreaches everybody in the community and their diversity. Okay, so I'm gonna ask this question. You have all stated that there are two organizations that you would think that you would pull from the process that that you would maybe put to the side while discussing this. And I'm gonna just ask what ones you believe should maybe be taken out of the discussion right now on this. I'm gonna start with Joanna.
Definitely Fairwinds and NAMI. I think that I really liked the Lighthouse Schools idea, and I think it's useful. I think that number of kids that it can impact is not as strong as some of these other proposals. And it would also be something that I would think about pulling from this grant and putting into one of the other buckets.
Okay, Linda?
No comment.
Okay, I'm gonna go to John. John?
Well, I haven't gotten, maybe not as deep as I might going further on, but I agree with Joanna that NAMI and Fairwinds really aren't offering us anything sufficiently new and imaginative. And they should be able to find their monies other places or even other places from us. So that I would, at the get-go, pull them out.
Okay. So,
I do have one I'd like to pull out.
okay,
The horses, I think it's premature. Great. I have had 2 horses. I think it's a great program. I love this program. I think it's premature.
okay. Sue?
I think NAMI's program doesn't really fit what we're trying to accomplish with this particular grant, so I would pull them out. And I'm on.
You got a recluse on the other, please.
Well, I was gonna say, I would, yeah, I'm not gonna talk about Fairwinds at all, but, and I'm just not sure where to go with the Lighthouse School.
Okay,
I'm struggling with that one. I love the idea,
Me too.
not sure.
I'm just going back to notes I did, and it's spot on what Joanna said. Lighthouse, I think that it's a wonderful thing, but it's hiring, it's a position basically. Even though they've got the personnel, but they would offload some of what she's doing, so she would have that. But this goes away in next year. Where are they gonna get that money from? Because it's not sustainable at all. And that's why I pulled it out. Not that it's not valid, as I said, every single of these programs I could
Find a
support,
validation.
but that's why I put a question mark next to them, so I agree.
Yeah, I feel like it should come back with a plan for the future. And like, if we help launch it, that's one thing, but how does it
become
How
part
does
of
it
their
sustainable? Yeah.
their everyday
Right.
budget?
Right.
Okay, I personally think that, both NAMI and Fairwinds, I would like to see go into the other, round of, grants, or I would suggest to them that they come into the other round of grants. The Lighthouse School, I think that's a budgetary thing that they have to work with within their school and within the other 2 schools that are around. As much as I think it's vital, we're not paying for counselors. I mean, we are in tax dollars, but so I question whether or not that could go into the other pool, but personally, inside of this pool, I don't see it hitting the numbers or making the impact that we actually need at this point in time. That's my opinion. On the horse and mental health, I actually think this program has a lot of strength behind it, for a lot of reasons. So, I am not in favor of pulling that one out of the thing. So I think that we can say maybe we should take a vote on which ones we believe should be taken out of this. And we'll do it with the majority rules on it. Okay, everybody?
Okay.
We're gonna start with Fairwinds.
Do you want me to
what-
we should make a motion. Should we make a motion?
Sure, if you want to make a motion to make a vote.
Well, no, I think we should make a motion. I would be willing to say, why don't we make a motion to refer Fairwinds, NAMI, and Lighthouse School to the next round of grants?
Okay.
Do we need to do it separately or
No,
otherwise I
no, she
can't?
can do this. Do we have a second to Joanna's motion?
What was
I
the motion
second.
exactly?
Okay,
I'm-
Joanna, could you repeat that motion?
Sure, I move to refer Fairwinds, NAMI, and the Lighthouse School to the next round of grants. Our regular
What
grant.
does that mean?
Our
What does that
regular
mean,
grant.
the next round of grants? To
So
the next
the
youth
youth
grant
service grants.
or what?
Fiscal year 25 CRC funding,
Yes,
and
Now, they
then
may all reapply for the funding we've got coming up right now on the next go round
that's,
here.
That's what we're talking.
Okay, so we're talking about the ones where we haven't advertised yet.
yes.
It's for fiscal year 25.
and
Okay.
then may I suggest the three separate votes for that so that,
I can. recuse.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Joanna, we're gonna do it one at a time so that Sue can recluse herself from one of them.
Okay.
Okay, so can you make a motion?
I make a motion to refer, let's say Fairwinds, we'll start with them, Fairwinds to the regular grant cycle FY 25.
Do I have a
And thank
second?
them. Yes, and thank them appropriately.
Okay, I think we got a second there. So Joanna,
Aye.
John,
Aye,
Linda,
I,
Veronica,
Aye.
I got an I here. Okay, Joanna, you want to make a second motion, which I think you can keep the other two together.
Okay, I move to refer NAMI and the Lighthouse School to the next round of grants, FY 25.
Second. Okay, so,
And with thanks, sorry.
You would thanks, yes.
Joanna,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
John,
aye,
Linda,
I,
Veronica,
Aye.
and I from here. Linda, I am not taking away your right to make a motion if you want to. Or if you don't.
what, to remove the horses one?
Yeah, it's up to you.
I'll make a motion to remove the horses one, and I'll refer them to the FY 25 also. I just think it's premature. She doesn't really have a tag over here that's consistent yet.
Is anybody seconding that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Linda,
I,
John,
Aye,
Joanna,
Nay.
Veronica,
Nay.
Nay. No, oh my God.
Sue.
Nay. I can't say it the other
Dorothy,
way.
I'm gonna say nay too. Okay, let's go ahead with our discussions on the rest. So right now, what we have done is we have removed, and with thank yous, the Lighthouse School, NAMI, and Fairwinds from our numbers. Okay,
that was Fairwinds, Lighthouse, and NAMI, correct?
correct. We've removed them from it.
Can I bring up Star?
You
Because-
may go right ahead and bring up anything you want.
Okay, I'd like to bring up Star because, again, fabulous program. But does that belong in this round of funds? Could that be referred also? Because the way that I look at it is it's a specific portion of our population that is being served through Star. It's valid, extremely valid, but I didn't see it as meeting what this grant was looking to do. So I would want to refer that one over, and I know it's the least amount of money, and I would like to give them money, but I'll just I'd like to make that motion, and maybe if there's any discussion on that.
Okay, is there any discussion on that one?
Well, there has to be a second to have discussion.
Second.
Second.
Okay,
I do
Right.
have a comment.
okay, so just a second.
Oh, second.
No, and then just say, okay, so Veronica, I
Aye,
Oh, I thought we were gonna discuss.
So we
Okay.
are, but
No,
just
we're
okay.
discussing.
in first.
still have to say that you're doing the discussion.
Oh, yes, aye.
Okay, Linda. Go ahead.
No, you don't need any more than a motion and a second in order to discuss.
I'm
Not
letting you
everybody has to vote.
You
on
just
that.
said that you just said that you wanted to have a discussion, right?
Yes.
So we're allowing you to
Um,
this.
I love this program. I know the kids, a lot of the kids that are involved. It's not just kids. It's pretty wide ranging on the disabled because your mental ability, sometimes you're an adult, but you're a 10-year-old. and they service everybody with all kinds of disabilities or different abilities. And given how many people apply for the regular grant, and we never have enough money under that 650, I would like to leave them here to make sure that they do get funding. So that's the way I'm looking at that one. I'd rather do that, knowing that they have programs, knowing that they have a stable environment here for them, and the horses thing does not yet. I'd hate to throw Star out, not have enough money under the regular grant process, and do horses where she doesn't have horses here yet. I think she will eventually get all of that put together for the next round, but they do not have a consistent ability here to do it, and they're coming from off island. So that worries me, because I don't think we have enough money for everybody that's going to apply for the next round, especially since we just shot 3 of them over there, 2 of them which are normally over there. So that's my concern.
I want to make it clear that the program is being offered on the mainland. We're
Right.
not here on the island at this present time, just so that's clear within
Right.
this. It is.
Right,
I
and
don't
that
think
was
the
another
internet-
concern I had when she made it was a great presentation. I love this program. I've done it with one of my older horses. But this is what concerns me about the horse one, and bouncing Star over to something we don't have enough money for now.
I can agree with you, Linda, on that point, because their ask was $10,000, and it may get lost in with all the other bigger needs. So I can agree, because I want them to get some money. I do want them to get money, but I just went back to what I was seeing as what we were trying to do here, and I didn't see them necessarily falling here, but then, you know, a $10,000 ask when we are gonna have probably over $1 million, they may get lost, and I don't want them to get lost. So I'm speaking through both sides of my mouth right now.
Right, and I think the key thing too is that she did apply for this because she said that she didn't, you know, it was new. She hadn't had really the process, the ability yet to apply for other grants that would help her
Right.
fund this program.
Right.
So there is a possibility that there is funding in other sources for this program, and I want to keep that.
Yeah.
There, because she didn't say that this, without it, she's running the program. The program is
Started,
running right now.
right,
It
right.
is going. So it wouldn't hinder the program being run. Which I just think we should make that pretty clear. So is there any other discussion does anybody else have any comments on what Veronica's concerns about the STAR
I
program?
was thinking, so I was thinking that, you know, maybe we would give Star something, but not the full $10,000. I mean, if we just add up what we have right now, I think we're at 265. And we have 175. So if we start to look at amounts for each of these places, I think we could include Star for $5,000, and I think that would be a good place to start.
I would rather fund them for the full 10 and drop Dreamland 5,000. I mean,
don't-
every dollar on Star makes a big difference to what they can and cannot provide, especially when they want to vary their programs. I mean, they've done windsurfing for these kids. They've done all kinds of stuff. I would hate to cut Star, the little guy, and not cut the Dreamland 5,000 and give the 5,000 back to Star. That's where I am, or ASAP 5,000, or B&G 5,000. Because B&G admitted when they came in that they didn't have targeted, focused program to give them money to. It was more of a generalized, that was a big deal. That's why I asked them that question on Tuesday. They're not asking for a focused, targeted program. It's going to multiple places. So I'd
Well,
rather
I
not
think
cut Star.
Well, I think it's
I-
multiple programs within their what they offered at the Boys and Girls Club. I think that if you read it, it's
Program.
multiple
It was
programming.
programming.
But
I can,
yeah,
I mean,
go on.
Linda, I completely appreciate that, but I'm also thinking that Dreamland and Boys and Girls Club are gonna both get cut significantly anyway. I'm willing to entertain 10,000 for Star.
Well, that would be are we doing motions individually on what's
No,
getting funded, or what are we doing?
This was a discussion because Veronica was questioning whether it should be pulled or not.
Right.
And I'm gonna say that I think that they still probably have ample opportunity to look for some other grants, and I would not have a problem with it being at 5,000 too, because I think that they have not begun their grant process for this one. And she let us know that she hadn't put that out there yet, and I think that there's a lot of funding. She said she hasn't gone to the Bruins Foundation that
Mhm.
does a lot, I mean, there are programs that, and that's not cutting it, I mean, my personal feeling about STAR is that it's an incredible program, I told you all that,
Mhm.
but I think that this one, I think they have the ability to better funding. So, Sue?
I think the
I
Boys
think
and
that-
Girls Club have far more money than anybody else does right now, and I've been involved with that for 40 years now. The
Okay,
Dreamland, you
hold
know,
on.
I just hate to cut the little guy when the other guys can lose a couple of thousand. And I don't think
Okay.
that's fair.
I called on Sue because she had her hand up.
Thanks. I'm stuck on. Was the grant written expressly to start new programs? That's where I'm stuck with STAR. I think STAR is one of the best
No, it's a
organizations
program
we
they
have.
do.
They just started, this one was a new one.
It's
Yeah.
this year's.
Yeah.
but
It's this
an
year,
existing
but it's
program.
not
No, it's an existing program, which they have within their program.
okay, because that's what I thought we were looking for, kind of launching or piloting newer initiatives. So that's my hesitation with STAR. I mean, I would give them money in the next grant cycle because that makes sense to me, but
Okay,
I just question if this is the right spot for them.
okay, John, do you have any comment on
Yeah,
this?
I think we should be, I could be comfortable with either the 5,000 or the 10,000, but I really think that they just as a sort of a boost to a program that has not gone out other than through the efforts of a very limited people doing the effort work, that we should definitely give them the encouragement of just recognizing them, even if it's only 5,000.
Okay. Is everybody happy with the discussion we've had on this so we can move on?
Sure.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
Hand from Joanna?
Joanna?
I think that the place where it sounds like we need to focus some discussion time on is on the horse thing. Because I think that we've all already said that we like the other programs, even if we haven't agreed on what the dollar amounts are. I think that we should talk a little bit about the horse program, because this meeting, I think, how long is this meeting scheduled for? Because I have a hard stop at 11:30.
I think it was to 11:30 when that you gave us that time frame.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
So
10 to
the horse
11:30.
thing. Right, so if you were looking at the dollars, right, the horse person asked for 112 for the larger program, and I think roughly around 70 something for the smaller program. I think that if we're gonna consider funding that, because this is a first effort, maybe we do consider the smaller program.
Clarification, the smaller program, the 70,000 was for the 1 day or the 3 times? I'd have to go back. Does anyone
I
remember?
believe it was the one longer program,
It's
but
right here.
I think it's a 6-hour day.
The 6-hour day? So the
Yeah.
one day experience.
I think it was the 6-hour.
Yeah. I think
Okay.
it's, in some ways, I think it might be more realistic with travel and the schedule, and like, we have to look at this as this is a pilot program, right? So if we are going, and then I think we'd be able to like see the impact before we launched into maybe potentially supporting them for a multi-day program, even though I love that. And I just think that logistically, trying it for 1 day and seeing what happens might make more sense than investing in the larger ticket.
I sort of feel that even, I mean, I think the program is great. Personally, I think the program is great.
Me too.
I don't think that we're actually like, and Linda, I'll get you in 1 second, that we're like stuck to the 70.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? that I think that we could
Yep.
make an offer within, to that 70, to either one of them.
Right.
But the 70 being the longer day being what we think might be the better program to that one, and we don't have to go to the 70, we could be going at a lower number to encourage the beginning of this program and where it could go. She seemed very, she was actually, to me, I missed the other ones, but somebody that can pull over and have that information, knows the program they're doing and has a invested interest into what they're doing. It was clear that she had an extreme invested interest in and had come to the island prior to this to try to find a way to do this. So I think it has some intent. Linda?
She admitted she didn't have any ability to do it here yet. I think we're going to get a massive amount of blowback if we fund a program where the kids and the parents or kids in a chaperone or however have to get on a boat that may or may not go, get stuck over there, and have an off-island program that doesn't have yet. I'm not saying she can't eventually find somebody. There are no public stables here. I know that personally. If we're going to give money to something from off island that people have to travel off island to, as great as the program is, and it's phenomenal, it does a great deal, but not just one time. I know from personal experience, it takes more than one time to get the effect that you're looking for a child.
Well, I
To
think
get comfortable with a horse. I'd like to finish, please.
Okay.
And I'm very passionate about this horse thing, but we're going to get a lot of blowback if we pay for something off island that hasn't established itself here yet. As great as this program is, and I'm sure she sounds like she does a phenomenal job and understands the logistics of it. I just think I can't support that ever until she gets a grip over here and makes it a more of a beneficial thing for kids that are here that will not get on the boat. I know I have an anxiety-ridden child who's still living at home, and he will not get on that boat. So if you have certain issues, you're not getting on that boat. So, and that's what you're trying to get over, is the anxiety and the fear and everything else involved with putting yourself out there or with an animal, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what this program is designed to do. So I'm having a great deal of problems with this. Plus, we don't have enough money, because if we do that, even if we do a little bit, we're going to have to cut the other three we like. So that's where I am now.
I don't think that this program is only for children with anxiety at all. I don't think that's what they're after.
I didn't say that. I just said that it's going to be difficult for a lot of kids to go.
It actually came across that way. I'm sorry, it did come across that way. The other thing that I would sort of, and not offensive, Linda, this woman has clearly a lot of training and certification in the work that she does. It's not whether somebody has done it. She's spent years doing this and is trained at one of the highest levels of this kind of therapy in the nation. So I don't want to.
And I said she did.
Well, that's not
So I
under-
don't
that's-
put words in my mouth.
I'm not. I'm saying that I just want to make that very clear, because it's not what you put in your mouth, but you said that you've done this training or this kind of work. And I'm just saying this woman has been trained in this work for many, many years and is a highly trained therapist. I think that for some children, the experience of even getting off the island is huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah.
And for some, it just doesn't happen. And for some, the independence of understanding that you can do it and what it brings on the other end. And the idea that she is actually also open to trying to find and work with somebody through this. And I think sometimes when you have a program that can show some form of success, it opens up doors in community. It would open up a door in this community to others seeing an active program and say, hey, I would like to be involved in that. And so I don't want to shut that door down either, because I think that's crucial to a program that has a significant, a high rate of return on the students that are in the programs. That's
My point is, I'd like to see her come back when she does set up something on Nantucket. I know my horse would not have been conducive to having a kid anywhere near it. There are a lot of people with horses here, not as many as there used to be when my horse was still alive, but they need to have certain types of animals with a certain type of temperament, et cetera, et cetera. They can't be high neurotic thoroughbreds. So there's a lot to work out. I'd like to see her come back with that program when she does have an inroad here and do that program successfully here. I just hate to send money off island for when we have these other
Linda, I
asks,
don't-
because we're way
with all-
past our money here.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, can I say something?
Veronica, Joanna, I'll let you go. Veronica's gonna speak.
Okay, I agree 100% with Dorothy. I understand there's some kids that have anxiety and not going on that boat, but I see a benefit for a group of kids that don't get to go off. And I would love to see this as the first of many years for this to be done, and for her to be encouraged to come to the island, which she wants to do that. But if we start this, we fund, if we can't give everything, and that's fine, but let's fund it, let's do it as a pilot. And work with her to bring it to the island, but in the meantime, do the benefit of getting kids off the island and experiencing something that they're not getting here. We can't do everything on the island, and this is an opportunity to offer a unique thing for kids to experience.
Joanna, you had a hand up. Are you?
Yeah, I think that, I think two things. One of which is that I think it's not realistic to think that this program is ever going to be on this island. Right? We don't have the capability to handle horses on this island. We may have once, but we don't now. There's not, a vet, there's not a farrier, there's not, and Linda's right, this requires a particular kind of horse. I also have a lot of experience in this area. My dad owned a very large horse farm, and we did some programs that were like this. However, I do think that this woman, I agree, she knows what she's doing, and I think it's worth a test run, right? That's the purpose of this, is to try to come up with some options for kids that are outside of the normal box of what's available. And I think trying it, I think would be okay. If I just did some quick math, so this is what if we did, I'm going to give a rundown and then we can look at these numbers. So if we did Mast at 30, and we did Boys and Girls Club at 25, and Dreamland at 45, the horses at 70, and Star at 5, we're at 175.
Did you do it again? Sorry.
30 to Mast.
ASAP.
Yeah, ASAP. 25 to Boys and Girls Club, 45 to Dreamland, 70 to the horses, and 5 to Star. We're at 175.
I have my hand up when you're ready.
Okay, Linda?
I'm aghast, frankly. I'd rather give the horses less and give Star the 10. How do we justify this? If we're cutting ASAP about $6,000 and we're cutting B&G in half, the Dreamland basically in half, Star in half, and we're giving an off-island program that hasn't proven itself yet locally, the full amount. How do we justify that? I can't do it. I like the fact that everybody's getting a little piece of something here, but I think we should give ASAP more, B&G more, the Dreamland more, and Star the full 10,000, and horses less, and see what she can do with less kids or something along those lines. I mean, it could be the parents are willing to pay the travel, because involved with that amount that she's asked for is the travel on the boat. And they had a van and stuff like that on the other side. It was logistics that we talked a lot about logistics on Tuesday. But I can't give an unproven thing on Nantucket, at least, the full amount and cut ASAP's, B&G, Dreamland, and Star of Nantucket. I can't do it. I think we need to give the Star of Nantucket the least amount of money asked for, the full amount, and then try to figure out how to massage ASAP, B&G, and Dreamland, and cut the horses to 50 and see how that works with a smaller group of kids. And if logistically it does work out that way, but I can't justify giving an off-island program $70,000 and cutting everybody else.
I'm gonna move to somebody else that is, has their hand up, Sue.
So for a couple of different reasons, I agree with Linda on the amount for the horses. So it looks like 112 was the ask for the 1 day, 6 hour. And that's for 39 weeks. And I think 39 weeks is unrealistic from now until the end of the fiscal year.
Well, that's 39, but everybody comes for just a,
Right, so it would be but I think she means weekly. And in any case, I would say doing like, I don't know, 15 sessions would be better, because I think she's talking about 10 kids at a time.
15
Knowing the
sessions.
winter and whatever, like I would be cool with cutting it a little bit further than 70 and going to a 50, if that meant being able to pilot that successfully.
okay, I'm gonna hold on, because I did see, Joanna and then Jericho, I will acknowledge you in a minute. Joanna was getting ready to respond to you, and then I will acknowledge Veronica, and then I'll go to Jericho.
I mean, I would say, I'm open to reducing it, the $70,000 down, and I think 39 weeks could be trimmed, but I don't really, I mean, the whole therapeutic horse thing is the kids developing a relationship with the horse. And I think that, you know, she's proposing 39 weeks. I don't know if we want to be in the business of telling her how to run her program, but I do think we could say, I have the weather concern, right? That's one of the reasons why I like the single day better. So I do think that we could say, you know, maybe you do this at 22 weeks, or I think 15 is too little. And I'd rather have her come back to us and say, hey, listen, the minimum, you know, let's determine the amount of money and let her figure out how to spend it accordingly.
Okay.
I'm not opposed. I am not opposed to reducing the 70. What I will say about the Boys and Girls Club in the Dreamland again is they're running these programs anyway. And if we're giving 20, the Boys and Girls Club asked for 50,000. I think 25 is reasonable to give this, because this is going into their operating budget, right? This is not going to support specific programs. And I'm okay with that, but I think that it's different than what some of these other folks have asked. And Dreamland, you know, certainly has the ability to raise the other half of this money. And more so than probably anybody else on this list. I mean, they have a grant writer, right? They can also apply for some other grants, right? And I support the program. I thought the Dreamlands presentation was fantastic, and I definitely think we should support it. I'm thinking about this in terms of the reality of what other people can raise. I think Star of Nantucket is fantastic. Do I think they can raise $5,000? 100%.
Right.
I want to give the money to the horses because of the exact reason that we're talking about. They don't have a presence on the island. I think they can offer a valuable service here. And I think once they get established, they could potentially raise some money themselves, but they're not. And that's the job of what we're trying to do, is give them some seed to get started.
Yeah. I've got a question. When we reduce fund an application, do we ask people to come back with a redone?
Nope.
Okay.
What we say,
Is that
what we're saying to them
appropriate?
is that we're giving you this amount of money to run your program. You know, we do it all the time. We don't give anybody, and we don't ask them to come back with, what can you do? I think she did say to us that she would curtail. In her discussion, I
Right.
asked what would happen, and she said she would curtail it to work to
Okay.
what she was given.
Right, because that brings a big question in my mind, that if someone asks, and I'm not using these, I'm just using our grant process. Someone asks for $100,000 and we say we can give you 30,000. If your program was designed for 100 and now we're giving 30, what guarantee do we have that that money is going to be applied appropriately?
The program.
It actually has just been our, quarterly reports.
Quarterly
that tells us
reports.
whether or not they're actually doing it. So I mean, anybody that comes in with a contract under that is,
Right.
when you ask for a certain amount of money, you're asking for a grant. You're not, you know, you're never guaranteed it,
Right,
right? And so
Right.
the amount of money you're given a lot of people come in asking for a little bit more to run the program with hopes that they're gonna get the
Right.
money to run their program, right? You know,
In a case like this with our horses, that if we give $50,000, I'd like to know what will happen with the 50. Is it gonna be X amount a weeks or whatever? So I would like to know that going into it. And do we have the right to ask?
I don't think we do. They've put it in, and I think our job is just if we're giving it, they're
Is to
gonna
monitor.
curtail, she's gonna curtail the program
Okay,
to what that 50,000 or 60,000 or whatever that we're offering.
so it's done
like
in
anything.
monitoring quarterly reports.
Correct.
Okay, all right,
It
that,
would, it would.
And then I'm gonna let
right,
Jericho speak now, because he had a few questions before. I just
Right.
want it on there that Jericho's being
Yeah.
asked to speak.
So, the way that it would currently be, the way that it works under the current system would be that the person, if they could not complete the program presented, they would not accept the gift, and they would not sign the contract, which states the payment parameters, basically. My earlier question was, what was the, you actually already answered it. What was the answer? Could you do this without full funding? And it was, I think it was a reduction in number of days.
Mhm.
And then the fact that she submitted two separate ones suggests that she has a range of different services she can
Right.
provide. If we were gonna look into an additional round of, like, here's our projected things, can you do it, and what's your new presentation? That would involve a new
Mhm.
procurement cycle, the way that it's currently structured.
okay,
So we could either build into the process a step where we have like a round 2.5, but we would need to sit down and really figure that out ahead of time,
Wait,
like.
Not
for-
right now.
for
I
next
know, I
year.
know, I know, yes, I
Yeah,
hear you,
you
I
can
hear
put that
you.
on the list, but
Okay.
we're not doing it now.
Yeah,
So,
that's really helpful to me to hear, because as I was looking at the quarterlies, I was like, I don't even know what I felt like I was flying completely blind. And like, when I think of a program, like, I'm gonna use ASAP. I'm not for or against anything about it, but like, what if we all decided that disc golf was hogwash, so we reduced their funding,
Mhm.
but then all they did was
you put a stipulation in there and say that we don't support, we're supporting.
so we
in the
can say
contract-
something.
You can, in the
Okay.
contract, you can say, the money is, they've asked for this, but we are funding this and this, we're not funding that part of it, and it goes into the contract.
Gotcha. Okay, so the
The-
contract can
The precedent,
narrow the scope.
the
Yes.
precedent would be the use of no town funding can be used to secure Narcan. So that is one, there are a set of stipulations we can put in. It's not universal, and the board precedent has been to not micromanage the operations of these organizations. But there has to be some give and take for how the programs are parameterized.
Right. We gave money one year and we gave money we stipulated that some of the money had to go into a managerial audit. That was part of it. Another year, we did not fund the Narcan. We actually polled, they put in for Narcan and with an organization, and we actually polled and told them, that is not part, the town was not funding the Narcan program. We did not have that in our contract, and made sure that in any further contracts, it is stated that the town does not support, the distribution of Narcan within the programs.
I believe that was largely a liability and town
Correct.
bylaw.
It was a liability. It was because you couldn't, and somebody came and said, well, the fire department, the police department, and we're like, yeah, but
They-
when you're handing it to somebody else, and can it come back to the fact that the town bought the Narcan for something that happened because they provided it in the
Right.
program? So we had to just make sure it wasn't in there. So there are stipulations that can be put on, and there are times when we have said it is to only fund this, like we're funding this, we're not funding that.
Right. Okay, that's helpful for me to know.
So I know that we're running out of time, and Joanna has to be somewhere in 10 minutes. So Joanna, I'm trying to be respectful of that time frame that you have. On the table was a recommendation from Joanna.
I can share it on screen if you want to look at it.
I don't know if everybody wants it up, we can, if you don't have it in front of you, but it was that. It was a recommendation of ASAP for 30, Boys and Girls Club for 25, Dreamland for 45, the Horse for 70, and Star for 5. That was the current current thing that Joanna put out to everybody.
I'd like to make a friendly amendment.
Okay, what would you like to do?
Put Star back at 10.
Mhm.
B&G Dreamland back at 50. I'd like to take 20 grand away from the horses and distribute it among the rest of them. However, anybody wants to do that. So I guess it would be, I don't know, I had to redo that. Dreamland, I'd like to give more.
I have 10,000 for Star. I have 50,000 for horses for mental health. I have 50,000 for land, which puts us at 110.
No, and
And then
then
you
the-
have ASAP and B&G,
right,
which would be each get another 3 or another 5, or B&G would go back up to
well, then if you're gonna.
35 and
So you're asking to take 5, we take,
So
hold on, let me just.
no, I think he has it. I just want to hear what he just said again.
35 for ASAP, 30 for Boys and Girls Club, 50 for Dreamland, 50 for horses, and 10 for Star, which should come out to 175.
I'm happy with that. That would be my motion or my amendment.
It's a 5,000 variance from Joanna's proposal for ASAP, and Boys and Girls Club up, 5,000 up for Dreamland, 20,000 from horses, and add 5 for Star.
That would be my motion, my amendment.
I don't think we're at the motion, we're just at proposals.
Where's that proposals?
Yeah.
Joanna,
I don't, I mean. The problem that I'm having is not being able to talk to the horsewoman, like Veronica has mentioned. Like, I'm wondering if it's possible for us to have her come talk to us one more time. No, you don't think so, Jericho?
Don't believe so, because we would have to offer every agency
Yeah.
I got
is
it.
not getting full funded an opportunity to discuss, and we just don't have this.
Joanna, what is your question?
I'm wondering, like, I don't want. I don't want the horse program to be compromised to the point where it would not be effective, right? That's the concern that I have, and I don't know for sure if the $20,000 would do it, because Linda could be right. We could potentially, some of these parents would be able to pay for some of the transportation costs. I don't know.
But that isn't.
Well, I
part
think
of
what
the
she would do, she would cut given what she said on Tuesday, and my familiarity like you are with this type of thing, she would just cut it to, not 20 kids, it'd be 8 kids. And it would be a shorter time to see if it actually was effective. And to see if people would actually get on the boat that many times in a row to come over. It may be a bust, but the 50 grand would at least give her an ability to run a truncated program to see if it actually would work with people coming over without tying up 70 grand on something that may not work.
Yeah.
I'm willing to give her the 50 to see if she can get 10 weeks out of it, 5 weeks out of it for a finite group of kids. I think she'd have to retailer it, which she's perfectly capable of doing because she's a very capable person. She'd be able to craft it for people coming from Nantucket in a way that would be the most effective for those kids. So I think it would give her a leg up while she tries to get somebody over here to give, to get involved.
Okay, I would make a recommendation that we all, if we're gonna fund Star, that all we do is cut the horse to 65 and move the 5,000 over to the Star from that. And keep it at 65,000 for the horse program, 10,000 for the Star. Boys and Girl Club remains at 25 and ASAP stays at 30. That would be
Except
my
that we've cut Dreamland pretty much, we've cut Dreamland in half, and I'd rather give them more money. I'd rather give the people that are here. That's my point.
I would keep the Boys and Girls Club is at 20, well, the original one was the ASAP at 30, Boys and Girls Club 25, Dreamland at 45. I would move the horse to 65 and the Star program to the 10,000. That would be my.
Against that.
Okay, that's fine. I'm putting that out there as.
So you said with yours, you would keep everybody the same, but you would take the money from the horses to give to the Star.
I would take 5,000
5,000
from that and move it down
To the Star, so the Star program, I was just trying to make.
Yeah, no, that's
Okay.
fine. No.
All right, okay.
That's a recommendation I would make.
All right, so we have 3 different things on the table.
Yep.
Okay.
I
So-
can throw
Yeah.
those up itemized if you'd
Yeah.
like,
I will sit there and say that.
and I'll save these for you for the notes if you'd like.
I mean, I can take mine
Defer
off.
to me, amen. Yeah.
Guys, I can take mine off. I'm happy to, I can support Dorothy's. I do want the horses to get a little more money. I just think it's gonna be hard to do. And I'd like there to be a large chunk of kids.
Could I make a motion?
You
With,
may, yeah, whoever.
I'm gonna make it a motion to, ASAP 30, Boys and Girls Club 25, Dreamland 45, Horses 65, and Star 10.
Do I have a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, Veronica,
Yes,
Joanna,
Yes.
John. John,
You're on mute.
you're muted.
Yes,
Okay, Sue,
No,
and I would vote
Yeah,
yes
my-
on that too.
Did you ask my vote?
Linda,
No.
okay. So that's 4-2 on that. Does anybody else have a,
no, 10. Okay, I'm sorry, my scratches.
did we just vote, those are the numbers?
Yeah.
we just voted, it was 4-2
Yeah.
on that.
So the current recommendations, just to make sure I have them. So current Veronica suggestion, which is now has been voted in as the recommendations, is 30,000 for ASAP, 25,000 for boys and girls. Did you have 45?
No, it wasn't 35 for ASAP.
That's not what I
No,
said.
no.
It's
30 for ASAP, Boys and Girls, 25.
25.
Dreamland, 45, Horses, 65, and Star 10. And does that hit 175?
that does add up,
It's 175.
and that was just voted in, so that is our recommendation.
Okay. We can move on to other business, if we can do it. Has everybody had a chance to read over the quarterly reports? I'd like to try to get that in for you. Sheriff, today.
You have the last quarterly report coming. We got the reporting in from Sherburne Commons / Community School. And then they're sending in a revised one because they are had some misapprehensions about whether Sherburne was a pass-through or not.
Okay, so I mean, it's fine to move ahead and not vote on that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
We are allowed to do that and table that one.
I have to hop off, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Joanna.
thank
Okay,
you.
thanks, Joanna.
thank you.
Thanks, Joanna.
Does anybody have any questions on any of the,
I have a comment,
yes,
okay? I spent a long time trying to make sense of all of this, and my head is spinning. Because of a time crunch, because I think we need to get this moving along. I didn't see anything that I could say absolutely not, but I had lots of like, this is making me crazy with the information. It was an information overload. I think it's good stuff, but it just was all over and it took an awful lot of time. I would like to see this streamlined in a way. I would vote that let's get these moving on, but we need to spend time in how the stuff gets reported because it was,
so this is normally what you would get.
yeah,
Would have just been these 3 pages, which is like, and then the rest is supporting evidence of what they're doing.
right,
Okay, so
Right.
I mean, in order to understand, supporting evidence is needed.
right,
If we're gonna be looking at the supporting evidence to see if the stuff is done. Otherwise, these normally are what we look at
right,
when we're doing it to see if they're, and at the same time, their contract. So you're like, is this abiding by the contract?
okay,
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's sort of how we look at them, because if you understand the contract, then are they doing within that contract what we have asked of them? This
Okay.
is just supporting information, and that there have been times where the supporting information has helped when something's flagged, where you can say, oh, well, this doesn't make sense with everything that's come out.
And honestly, there was only one that the supporting evidence just completely like made my hair like.
Yeah.
Curl. you know,
Tamika?
I have a question. So just by what you're saying and you're being confused, because I was confused too. Is there a way you want maybe me giving you the packet differently then? So I can sit there and say, this is the this is the invoice, what you need. That's what they want the money for this quarter. And then underneath I go supporting information and I categorize who has what supporting information. That way you look at the quarter report separate from the information given to support that quarterly report.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll
Because-
help, because the same thing with given to you, Jericho, you understood that when I was sending out these packets, I was like, I don't understand none of this. And I'm confused. So
So a lot of it is us understanding the contracts that we've written with
Yeah.
everybody, right? And
Right.
having the contract and what you've given them. And so then the supporting information is, there are times when you look at something and say, well, that doesn't make sense. And
Mhm.
how come that's going, and I need to look at their finances that they've submitted because something isn't jiving.
no, I get that,
And
but
so,
I was,
yes.
yeah, that's what, but I was saying with the way my brain works is you give me an invoice.
Mhm.
I look at that invoice, and then if I don't agree with the invoice, as long as I know this portion is the supporting and not part of the invoice, that's what I'm trying to say. Should I break it down more
I
for
think-
you all?
Yeah.
I think we need to have a proper discussion
Yeah.
about reporting as a group that is gonna be larger than this
Right
particular
now,
time.
yeah, right.
What I would like to do on my end is have this put in a format that I can then use the reporting to do year-on-year evaluations, to track numbers served over courses of years, and to do kind of the things that we need to do to really track efficacy of programming in a rigorous manner. So we're gonna be coming up with we have a couple of, Tamika and I are working out procedures in terms of how we're going to do that on our end, but we would really I think we need to have a real discussion about how that, and I think we should involve the providers to a certain extent, either as an educational experience or how we want to do things going forward, or to facilitate feedback on how it can be more efficient on their side.
Right.
But we can provide a template, which they then fill out. We can send them an Excel spreadsheet with the right information in it that they would fill out and send to us. We can do that when we send our quarterly reminders. So that's the kind of thing that we could be doing for the current CRC and this year's portion, the youth behavioral health grant, when that starts going out as well. But I think it needs to be a fairly long and deep conversation.
Right.
Veronica, can I ask you, what was the one that you had?
Interfaith Council.
Okay, and could you tell me what about the Interfaith Council?
Just, and I think when I was looking at the pages and pages of the backup, I could not, it was just, it was baffling. Okay. But going back and looking at, the invoice, and there's some that did a very nice breakdown. I read those and I said, yes, good, this is fine. So maybe, it's the matter of just giving us the high level at this point with the summary, and then requesting the backup, because
If you have a question.
If you have a question.
Can I see the backup on this?
yes.
Can I ask you a question? Which one that you saw that was the one that you definitely I understood that this is how I wanted it to go? That way me and Jericho can have a template of
Yeah.
you all understood this one, and this is excellent.
Well, to be honest with you, and I know this
Nami?
sounds silly. but-
Namis.
Nami.
Okay,
Nami.
Nami. I knew.
It was clear. It was
Yes.
clear.
I thought the safe place was too.
Safe
I
place
think it was
too.
Very,
Yes.
very clear.
Yeah, they
They-
they did very
Yes.
well as well. I
They
mean,
let you know exactly what they've seen, exactly how
Exactly.
many, and where, why the clients were served, what they served them with.
Right.
It's all in there. I mean, absolutely everything.
I mean,
were-
No, but that's why I was sitting there saying,
Yeah.
so that's Nami, safe
Right.
place, and Nami wasn't too far off from
No.
each other. You get
No, they're
those two,
both,
but
they're both
everybody
very
else.
similar.
And then
Too
there's
much.
the perennial best reporter, which is Sudcoast Legal.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like unbelievable.
Yeah.
I did have one, while I have everyone here, I have one,
Well,
Raymond.
Oh, okay, is that to do with us? Should we approve these
Let's
first?
do approve these first, apologies.
Okay, if you don't mind.
No, no,
Linda has her hand up.
Linda,
CPC runs into this with the reporting and the invoice payments. And we've sort of condensed it down. We have a single cover sheet, which is what you're thinking about doing. It puts down what they had originally granted, what they have left, what they've spent. They attach the invoices to it. And if we have a question, the office asks them. Very simple, 2 or 3 pages, unless they have multiple invoices, which they've attached, and that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah, this,
Yeah.
I think our original invoice is only it's actually 2 pages long, the original invoice. It's just the supporting material.
Yep.
But it doesn't have it doesn't have their name on it, so it's
Yeah.
like, whoa.
So-
Okay, so
We have to,
Well,
so
some of it does.
some of the reporting format is, it's like, we can only ask for things that are on the contract for them to report. We do not have to use that particular form. We can send them I really think a spreadsheet is the ideal for the reporting so that we can capture that data. So that's, we can work on that where we take the existing ones, turn them into an Excel spreadsheet for each agency and then give it to them. I want to not jump too far ahead before we do that. Because it will require significant education for the grantees to change how we do things.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think what I would like to, I would like us to be able to, and your question on, did you have a question in regards to the food pantry?
No, more philosophical.
More
Okay,
philosophical
as I
than-
said, with it- Okay, and if I can make a suggestion, because I realize that how important this is, and I have to tell you, I'm willing to put in the time and put in the hours, but I think everyone involved has limited hours. If with quarterly reports, even if we assign 1 or 2 to go deep if you need to and do that research, would that be a helpful
You mean
thing?
if we had a question to come back to
Well,
answer?
even just on a regular basis, just someone to go deep in,
To look at them
to look at them,
and then say,
rather than say all of us going deep.
Assign
Right.
each age, assign
Right,
agencies.
same way that we,
So
when we
assign
were
an
reviewing an agency, so I would be responsible for just doing a deeper dive, and I can, so I guess what I'm looking, that we're guaranteed that there's extra eyes on these.
it's not a bad idea. I do want to clarify something. I think that, just so everybody knows, that these are some of the most detailed ones we've ever gotten, ever
Mhm,
gotten on the contracts,
mhm.
okay?
Yeah,
So they haven't all been
No,
this
that's-
detailed. So I think even looking at, the interfaith councils,
Right.
it's much more detailed than it's ever been
Mhm.
in the years past.
There's some new staff that's, I think, doing quite well in there.
Doing
Okay.
quite a good job at it, so. So I think what we should do is, our time frame is gonna be up in a minute. What I'd like to do is, pull out fair winds on, because Sue is here, on whether or not, and do it separately, whether or not we approve the payment of the quarterly reports for fair winds for both the cannabis grant and the human service grant. And then go to the, have somebody make a motion on the others
Mhm.
so that we can get them taken care of.
okay.
Okay, so if somebody would like to make a motion,
I was gonna say, I can make a motion to approve quarterlies for South Coastal Elder Services of Cape Cod. Not this one. There. Interfaith Council. NAMI.
Martha's Vineyard Community Services.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Right,
Martha's
yeah.
Vineyard, a safe place.
Safe place?
all friends.
Small friends.
Mhm.
Is that Small Friends? Is that everybody
Yes.
minus
Mhm.
Fairwinds and the one that came in today?
Today.
So that'd be
Okay.
everything besides Sherburne and Fairwinds.
Okay,
Okay.
so I move to approve those quarterlies that I
You're
just
making-
listed.
Okay,
So be a second.
I can second.
okay, Sue,
Aye.
Veronica,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
John,
I,
okay. Can I get another motion? And Sue is recusing herself from this. To make it clear.
So
It will
So
be for
which-
it will be for fair winds.
just fair winds?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question. Where is Addiction Solutions, et cetera? Are
Addiction
they in?
Solutions is in the cannabis grant and
And-
we've not gotten their reporting yet.
Okay,
So that's the second one that's not in.
and
yeah.
So
who
it's-
else hasn't? And then we also don't have,
Suburban Commons, I just emailed you
Okay.
all that today,
okay.
so you can have it.
So
for the next-
addiction, and then, so there's two that we haven't,
Have you heard
otherwise.
from Addiction Solutions?
I have been trying to track down Alan Bell for a while on the reporting. And then we've had a couple of other grant things that I've been trying to work out with them. I'll reach out to them again today.
Okay,
See if
so
we can get that as
basically I'll make a motion to approve Fairwinds. That's all for right now. Just haven't looked at anything else.
Yeah.
And your a motion to approve the payment of both?
Yes.
Hmm?
Fairwinds.
Fair Winds has the
Okay.
canopy and the,
There's two.
Or something saying that
Right.
they're approved to pay.
Oh, yeah,
Exactly.
okay, sorry, yeah.
Yes,
I have them in my head as one contract. now.
right.
yeah,
No, there
the
are two.
A, we're gonna pay
They just
it.
have to make it
Right.
clear that it's. two
There is
contracts.
two different contracts. So a motion to approve Fairwinds both in our general human services and in our addiction services grants.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, Veronica? Aye. Linda?
Aye.
John?
I,
Dorothy, aye. Jericho? Sue, you're welcome back.
Okay.
Jericho, could you please tell us what you wanted to tell us about, coastal?
Oh,
South
yeah,
Coast?
sorry, South Coast Legal,
Right.
Raymond did reach out wondering what the time frame for the conventional CRC grants are. I just would like a rough idea of what I should report back to them. And then I don't think we're gonna have time to do it now, but we will need to get a timeline going for the contract review committee and cannabis and substance misuse fund monies, because we have to run it for 21, the various
Right.
parameters around it. I don't believe we're gonna resolve that today. I'm hesitant to ask for another meeting to just figure out what the meetings are, but that might not be a bad idea. Because we also are getting into cram sessions for this room and for Zoom accounts.
I have a November 6th hold for CRC on my calendar. That's kind of, well,
So
it's not as far away as you think, but
if we do.
It was
November
one of the
6th,
dates that we had discussed.
Was it November 6th? Okay.
yeah.
I think from the Gantt, that was the discussion of
If
timeline.
we went on further,
Okay, would that be an appropriate day to build our calendar? Also, at that point, will
with
we,
everything,
everything?
So
can we see if we can get November 6th? Is there a time frame on November 6th that doesn't work for you, Linda?
What day is November 6th?
Monday,
First Monday of November.
the day before town meeting.
Oh, great. I'm trying to forget town meeting, but no, I'm fine anytime on that day.
And well, the other question is, do we want to try something next week instead?
Yeah.
Next week, I'm much more limited in what time is happening.
We can give Joanna more time, ample time to fit it
Okay.
into her schedule.
So then. The,
past Mondays, it's been on the afternoon.
we can, I think,
Say it again?
I think when we've done it on Mondays, we've done the afternoon schedule at the 4:30 time.
Okay.
So that's why I'm asking, would we try to do what we've done in the past at the 4:30? Cause
I think
Joanna
I think
can
the
work
later
on it.
Time works for Joanna.
yeah,
better
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
reserve for what we were doing 4 to 5:30.
4 to 5:30.
4 to 5:30.
So let's reserve 4 to 5:30. We'll send a message out to everyone in order to confirm that.
From
that's
it, once I get it
available.
from Erica.
And then, yeah, so we'll reserve it as quick as we can.
I'm doing it today, when we get back in.
I would, if we could reach out to Joanne and see if that time, because her time seems to be,
And that's why I was thinking about when we did Monday, Joanna was,
She likes
And
the afternoon.
she was the afternoon, and I'm thinking I'm C8 with 4:30, that's why I was thinking 4:30.
No, I
But
think we did
Joanna is 4 o'clock
4 to
to
5:30.
4 to 5:30, and I'm just thinking about, I definitely know she was on the time limit.
Is she gonna
or
be,
something.
have anything with FinCom the day before town meeting?
Probably.
So that may be,
I'm writing to her.
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess the proposed time would be 4 to 5:30.
That's what I'm writing, November 6th.
Monday the 6th, and then we can move it a little bit on that day if possible.
I'm free that entire day right now, so if it
Yeah.
has to be adjusted for Joanna.
and
John.
Oh, she's not here. I just texted her, everybody.
I
That's
think
what I was gonna
we'll
do.
go with the
Yeah, and
assumption.
we'll see. If she doesn't, we'll come up with a time frame and I'll get back to you.
And then
okay.
we should have for the meeting timeline for the CRC and cannabis grants, and then a brief discussion of reporting. I know you and Joanna were gonna work on some revised reporting stuff. I'm assuming that the fall thing happened. And then additionally, any letter related information, related discussion, I still have not received a copy of that, I don't believe. But yeah, okay.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second,
Okay, Veronica,
Aye.
Sue,
aye.
John.
We do need him to make more of it.
He's right there somewhere. Joanna can make it.
Sure can?
Yep.
Okay, sweet.
Linda?
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
Okay, we did.
Okay, we have enough without him to close it down. Bye, John. I don't know where you are, but bye.
Aye, thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
bye-bye.